Now let me walk you through the documentation very briefly, okay? So here's the documentation at manual.bubble.io. Um, I think this is quite a simple documentation. Everything is in modular structure. Now, if you are just starting out, you could just check out the get started part. In this place, you'll be able to build like a first application demo and learn many basics about Bubble. If you want to learn anything about design, you can check out the design drop down here. Anything about database should be under this data. For the workflow logic, please check out the logic part. Something else you might want to check out is the security, then integrations for integrating like API plugins and all those good stuff. Okay, then coming down to the core references, what I think you really need is the bubble interface. For example, this design tab, the workflow and all that. Okay, then the other thing I think you would love is the element. You get many of these things as we start building out some of these applications we have planned to build. There is the workflow, that there's the event, and there's the data, which is like an extension of what we did at the top. Okay, when you come down to be more like business stuff and all that, I don't think you need all that. But this is what the documentation looks like. You can check it out. I'm doing this documentation walkthrough very brief because I feel like there is nothing much that we need to talk about. We just need to really get started. So back at Bubble, I'm already logged in. So if you're not logged in, you should make sure you log in. Okay, all right, so make sure you log in, and once you log in, it should be somewhere like this. Now what you need to do is to create an app. So once you click on this create app, it should give you this pop-up where you can name your application. So we'll just put it tutorial app. All right, and click on get started. So it would ask you if you want to activate a free trial, you want to start with bubble feature, and stuff like that. So for me, I don't need that. So let's start with the basics. So we are starting with bubble basic features. Okay. So if you would like to try out some paid stuff, there are a few things that you need to do, and you need to get a paid version. But for now, you could start without any payment. So this is cool. As soon as you create the app, it immediately gives you this interface where we find ourselves now, which is the editor, and that is what we want to do now. According to our documentation, we want to walk through not our documentation, please, our curriculum. According to this curriculum, we now want to walk through the editor environment. Okay. So here we are. Let me zoom in. Is it zoom in or zoom out? Either ways, okay, so that you'll be able to see these elements on the page. So of course the first thing you have here is the logo, which is not a big deal, but the next part, or the next thing you see here, is the pages. So outline like this, it should be showing you the page you are on. For example, we are in the index page, but when we click on the index, as we see there, it should drop down for us, and what here it shows us are other pages that are available. Now if you create any other page, you would find them here. So for example, if I let me create this page and say to do something like that, to do. Now I could choose to clone it from the other existing pages, or I could just create a new one. So I'm just creating a new one. As soon as you create this, you should be navigated into it. As you can see here, the page now is to do, and when you drop down, you see that to do has been added to the list of pages that we already have here. Of course, there's this new page that you can build with AI, still in beta phase. Okay, the next thing here is the elements are or everything you have on your screen. If you have a pop-up, you should show here in the element. If you add like a grid or something, any element you add, they should be showing here. All right. This is just you shouldn't really bother about this. And here in the view, you have a few settings that you could choose to set up for yourself. So you could just check this out and play around with it. This one will work when maybe you have something selected or stuff like that. Most of this you might not really need them eventually. Okay. So let's move on. So if you say, for example, make a mistake, this icon you have here is to undo, and then this is for redo, stuff like that. Then the preview button here helps you to preview what you've been doing. Okay, so once you click on it, it should move you over to another page where you can preview everything you are doing. So for now, there's nothing on our page. It should just show us what we are seeing here, which is a blank screen. But at the bottom here, you have a few tools that you could use to inspect and check how the app you are building is going. If you don't want to see this anymore, you could just come down here and disable debugger mode, or you could just come to the top here and remove the last query here, which is debugger mode true, something like that. So if you remove this and refresh, it should work. And if you do this, disable it, it should also work. So it refreshes and shows you a plain page, which is where we are. All right, so let's go back here, and we are done with the top here. So the next thing is the side. So here is the design. So the first tab here is the design tab. All right, so inside of the design tab, you're able to create interfaces. That's it basically. Now the interface you create will be under the UI builder, and if you want to check out how responsive it is, you just click on the responsive tab here, and then you could make a few settings and correction here and there. We'll see more settings when we start building, because everything is plain now. There's many settings you would not see, so you don't have to bother yourself. The next tab here is workflow. Now workflow, as it sounds, is showing how the application works or how it flows from one point to the other. That's just basically. So for example, when you click a button, what happens? That's just what workflow is all about. When you hover, what should happen, stuff like that. And then the next one here is backend workflow. You don't need to really bother yourself with this now, but it's similar to workflow with a few differences added to it. The next important thing here is data. This is where you manage databases. So inside of here, inside the database, there is data types, which is basically the tables or the data you create eventually. Okay, there's the privacy rule here, but here in the app data is where you have the actual details that has been entered into the data types here. So for example, here we have just user data types. So down here where you have all users, you could just choose to add user here, and so you just click on new entry and you are given a form and you can do what you want to do. Okay, then here in the option set, use it to declare options that you would need and you wouldn't want to add code basically, and then you can now fetch it from here. The file manager, of course, is for files, image, document, and all that. The next thing is styles, which is your CSS. So if you're coming from say an engineering background, like developer background, you already know styling. So styling helps to make everything cool. This way you set up like buttons, you set up like icons, image, page, and all those good stuff. Okay, eventually you get to find out all of them. So the next tab is plugin. So if you have any plugin installed, you should see them when you show here. You could also choose to add plugin and all that. So for example, you could just choose to add the Google material icon, and so you click on install. Immediately should be installed for you, and once you are done installing, you should see it showing up here. And then here in the design tab, when you scroll down, all right, so let me see if I can drag this up. Okay, so when you scroll down, you should have the installed item. So let's move up a bit. So this is it. All right, here's the material icon. I think I missed it. So here's the material icon, and of course you can choose to install more. Okay, so let's go down. After the plugins, the next thing is settings. You can play around with this. You can make any changes. You may not always be coming here, so there's not too much here. And then the logs. This is where you see what you're doing well, what you're not doing well, especially what you're not doing well, in order for you to get some level of improvement. So that's just it. So this is what the editor looks like, but how do we use it? That is what we'll be doing in the next part. So